Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves to feel better about not taking action. But you can't build self-respect on a foundation of lies. Let's begin at the root. What is self-respect? It's not arrogance. It's not pride. It's not walking around acting like you're better than anyone. No. Self-respect is the quiet confidence that comes from doing what's right, even when no one's watching. It's about knowing your worth and then backing it up with action. It's about setting boundaries, not out of hate for others, but out of love for yourself. It's not just something you feel, it's something you earn. And let me tell you something important, you can't have real self-respect if you keep letting your excuses run your life. Excuses are a betrayal, not to others, but to yourself. Excuses are clever. They come dressed as logic. They sound like reason. They look like good arguments. But in truth, they're justifications for inaction. I'm tired. It's too late for me. I don't have the talent. People like me don't succeed. I'll start next week. Every time you say those words, you give away a piece of yourself. You weaken your spirit. You say, I don't trust myself enough to push through this. The more excuses you make, the less respect you have for yourself. Not because you're a bad person, but because you're breaking the invisible contract between who you want to be and what you're willing to do to become that person. Most people spend their lives blaming the economy, the boss, the parents, the education system, the government, the weather. But that's just noise. That's the window. Self-respect begins when you stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. The moment you say, I am responsible, is the moment you start becoming powerful. Responsibility is heavy, but it's also freeing, because the same hand that built the prison can also hold the key. You're not stuck. You're just surrounded by excuses you've been calling reasons. Self-respect doesn't come from success. It doesn't come from applause. It doesn't come from money, cars, or titles. It comes from ownership. When you say, I missed the deadline, that's on me. I haven't worked out in a week. I chose comfort. I'm not where I want to be because I haven't done the work. That is power. That is growth. That is real self-respect, because you're no longer hiding. And when you stop hiding, something inside you wakes up. That's the real you saying, finally, you showed up. People think self-respect is built on big moments, the awards, the breakthroughs, the big wins. No, friend. Self-respect is built in the dark. It's built in silence. It's built when you keep the promises no one else sees. Getting out of bed when your alarm goes off. Finishing the last rep at the gym. Saying no to distractions. Writing 1 page a day. Speaking kindly to yourself even when you fail. These small victories are bricks. And every brick becomes a wall that protects your self-respect. You know why people don't respect themselves? Because they lie to themselves. They say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then they don't. They say, I'm going to change. And then they don't. And after a while, the inner voice says, why should I believe you? But when you do the opposite, when you keep showing up even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when no one's clapping, that voice says, I believe in you. You're the real deal. You've heard of a reputation. What others think about you. But what about your internal reputation? That's what you think of yourself when you're alone. And believe me, you can't run from it. You know when you're lying. You know when you're procrastinating. You know when you're playing small. And when you keep doing that, you erode your self-respect. But here's the good news. Every moment is a new vote for who you want to become. You're always casting ballots with your behavior. You're either voting for the confident, disciplined, focused version of you, or you're voting for the lazy, excuse-making, regret-heavy version. Self-respect isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Let's talk about self-talk for a moment. You can't build self-respect while speaking to yourself like garbage. You can't say, I'm such a failure. I'm never going to get it right. What's the point? And expect to feel proud, strong, or confident. Would you say that to someone you love? Someone you admire? No. Then don't say it to yourself. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for encouraging. That means when you fall, you say, okay, I messed up. Let's learn and get back up. That wasn't my best, but I'm still in the game. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be either. That's how you build internal strength. Self-respect is not just an emotion, it's an environment. Look around your life, your morning routine, your friendships, your daily habits, your language, your goals, your standards. All of these either build your self-respect or break it. Want more self-respect? Raise your standards. Don't hang with people who disrespect your time. Don't consume content that poisons your mind. Don't waste hours scrolling instead of building. When you say, "This is who I am now. These are the standards I live by," and then you back it up, that's the start of something unshakable. Let's end with this. If you're serious about rebuilding or strengthening your self-respect, here are 3 things to do today. Find one excuse and eliminate it. What's one excuse you always use? Call it out. Crush it. Do the opposite. Keep one tiny promise to yourself. Pick something small but clear. I'll go for a 15-minute walk. I'll write 1 paragraph. I'll drink 2 glasses of water. Keep that promise. No matter what, write a self-contract. Take 5 minutes. Write, "From this day forward, I choose responsibility over excuses. I honor my word. I show up for myself because I am worthy of my own respect." Read it aloud daily. Self-respect begins where excuses end. But it doesn't end there. That's just where the real life begins. You can't fix what you refuse to face. And the number one thing most people refuse to face is their list of excuses. Excuses feel safe. They protect your ego. They shield you from the truth. But they also shield you from growth. Excuses are not harmless. They are enemies of your excellence. Every time you say, "I don't have time," what you really mean is, "I won't make time." Every time you say, "I'm not ready," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid." Every time you say, "I'm too tired," it really means, "I haven't prioritized my energy." Excuses sound reasonable. That's why they're so dangerous. No one ever questions them, including you. But deep down, you always know the truth. You feel the weight, the guilt, the regret. That's your potential screaming from inside, asking why you keep locking it up. You weren't born with excuses. You were taught them. And now they've become your habits. You've repeated them so often that they've become part of your identity. But here's the good news: identities can change. Habits can be broken. Excuses can be deleted. You don't need anyone's permission, only your decision. Let's be honest. Most people don't want to hear this. It's much easier to blame circumstances than to confront your choices. It's easier to complain than to commit. It's easier to scroll than to sweat. That's why average is so crowded. But self-respect doesn't live in average. It lives where most people never go, deep into discomfort, responsibility, and truth. Every time you make an excuse, you trade long-term pride for short-term relief. You give up the chance to earn self-respect in exchange for a temporary exit from discomfort. But discomfort is the price of transformation. You cannot avoid discomfort. You only choose its form. Either the discomfort of growth or the discomfort of regret. One strengthens you. The other slowly destroys you. Excuses are the comfortable coffin of your potential. They feel soft. They feel warm. But they bury everything you were meant to become. So how do you start eliminating excuses? You expose them. You question them. You drag them out into the light. Write down your most common excuses. Then ask, is this absolutely true? Or is this just a story I've repeated so often that it feels true? You'll be shocked how many of your limits are imaginary, built by fear, reinforced by repetition, and maintained by comfort. Take this example. Someone says, "I don't have time to work on myself." Really? How many hours did you spend on your phone today? How much time did you waste scrolling, gossiping, or watching things that added no value to your life? The truth is, time is not your issue. Priority is. Another says, "I don't have the motivation." But motivation is not a requirement. Action is. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. Discipline comes before motivation, not the other way around. The most dangerous excuse of all. "That's just the way I am." No, that's the way you've trained yourself to be. And if you trained yourself into it, you can train yourself out of it. Growth starts with honesty. Brutal, radical honesty. Not shame, not guilt. Just clear truth. Truth that sets you free from the chains of excuse. Start replacing excuses with questions. Instead of saying, "I can't," ask, "How can I?" Instead of saying, "I'm too old," ask, "What's one small step I can take today?" Instead of saying, "It's too late," ask, "What would my life look like a year from now if I start right now?" You'll find that every excuse has a solution, but only if you're willing to look for it. You don't need to eliminate every excuse today. Just catch the next one before it comes out of your mouth. Pause, question it, replace it with a new response. If your go-to excuse is, "I'm tired," start saying, "I'm tired, but I can do 5 minutes." If your excuse is, "I don't know how," replace it with, "Let me learn one thing today." If it's, "I don't have support," replace it with, "I'll become my own support system until others catch up." Remember, self-respect isn't built in one big leap. It's built one excuse at a time, faced and defeated. You're not weak. You're just out of practice. You've gotten good at defending your excuses. Now it's time to get better at defending your potential. Start listening to the language you use. Every sentence is either strengthening your self-respect or shrinking it. Excuses shrink you. Ownership expands you. People who respect themselves speak differently. They say things like, "I'm working on it. I haven't mastered it yet. I'm growing, and I'll figure it out. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not giving up." That language builds you. It doesn't ignore reality. It reshapes it. You don't need to fake perfection. You just need to stop pretending you're powerless. You're not. You have power. You've just been giving it away to excuses that don't deserve it. Today can be the last day you let an excuse win. Think about this. What would your life look like if you stopped negotiating with your excuses? If you treated your goals like non-negotiables, like oxygen, like survival? The version of you that lives without excuses is already inside. It's not a stranger. It's just hidden under layers of fear, procrastination, and delay. Start peeling back the layers. One excuse at a time. One decision at a time. One victory at a time. You'll be amazed how quickly your confidence returns. How fast your self-respect starts to rebuild. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Excuses are thieves. They steal time, energy, and identity. And you've let them take enough already. No more. From now on, you look them in the face and say, "Not today." No more stories. No more delay. No more waiting. This is the moment you stop negotiating with average. This is the moment you stop feeding your fears. This is the moment you stop excusing your way out of excellence. You were born for more. And that begins now, when your excuses end. You've broken through the surface. You've started questioning your excuses. But now comes the real test, the day-to-day work. Because self-respect isn't just a moment. It's a habit. And that habit is built through one powerful word, discipline. Discipline is the daily deposit you make into your self-respect account. Every time you do what you said you'd do, especially when it's hard, your inner self takes notice. You build credibility with yourself. You prove that you can be trusted by the one person who matters most, you. There's something powerful that happens when you start keeping the promises you make to yourself. You stop waiting for the world to validate you. You stop needing approval. You stop seeking external motivation, because the fire is now lit from within. People think self-respect is about what others see. But the truth is, it's about what happens when no one is watching. It's what you do in the quiet. When no one is clapping, when no one is checking, when no one is keeping score but you. That's where the real character is built. You can post motivation all day. You can say the right words. But if your habits behind closed doors are sloppy, your confidence will always feel fake. You'll always carry the weight of knowing that your talk is louder than your walk. The antidote is daily discipline, not flashy effort, not bursts of energy once in a while, but quiet, consistent, boring discipline, the kind that builds empires brick by brick. You say you'll wake up early, and you do. You say you'll work out, and you do. You say you'll read, and you do. You say you'll stop scrolling mindlessly, and you actually stop. Each of these moments is small, insignificant to the outside world. But to your inner world, they are everything. Because each time you follow through, your mind whispers, "I can count on you." That whisper becomes belief. That belief becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes self-respect. One of the greatest reasons people lose self-respect is not because they've failed, but because they've made too many silent compromises. You said you'd write that book. You said you'd get in shape. You said you'd start that side hustle. You said you'd stop tolerating mediocrity. And yet, when it came time to act, you didn't. Not because you're weak, but because you've let your feelings make your decisions. And here's the truth, feelings are liars. Feelings love comfort. Discipline loves growth. You won't always feel like doing what's best for you. That's normal. But you must learn to act beyond how you feel, because maturity is doing what needs to be done, even when the mood to do it has passed. Self-respect isn't built on emotion. It's built on execution. If you only act when you're motivated, you're training yourself to be inconsistent. But when you act despite your mood, you're building mental strength that few ever develop. Start with small disciplines. They create momentum. The bigger ones will follow. Make your bed. Clean your space. Drink more water. Turn off distractions. Say no when you usually say yes. Say yes when fear tells you to say no. Each decision is a vote for your best self. And here's something powerful. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to create one small win today. That win will change how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines what you'll allow, what you'll chase, and what you'll become. You have to shift your internal dialogue. Most people talk to themselves like their worst enemy. They say, "I'm lazy. I always mess up. I'll never change." But if you keep repeating that, your actions will match your identity. You'll prove yourself right. Change the script. Say, "I'm becoming more disciplined every day." Say, "I may not be perfect, but I'm consistent." Say, "Every day I do the things that build my self-respect." This isn't fake positivity. It's identity reprogramming, and your actions will rise to meet your new identity. People often confuse ego with self-respect, but they are opposites. Ego says, "I'm better than others." Self-respect says, "I'm better than I was." Ego needs to win. Self-respect needs to grow. Ego is loud. Self-respect is quiet. You don't need to prove your worth to the world. You need to prove it to yourself through action. Start measuring your progress by effort, not outcome. Did you show up today? Did you honor your word? Did you resist the urge to quit? Then you've already won. The results will come, but the reward of self-respect starts immediately. The moment you act with integrity, not convenience. You will have days where you fall short. That's normal. That's human. But don't make excuses. Own it. Learn from it. Adjust. Move forward stronger. Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is alignment. Alignment between your actions and your values. Between your goals and your grind. Between your standards and your lifestyle. When that alignment becomes consistent, your self-respect becomes unshakable. There's nothing more powerful than a person who honors their own word. They don't need to boast. They don't need to impress. Their life does the talking. Be that person. Do the boring work. Build the quiet strength. And watch how your confidence becomes solid, stable, and unstoppable. You've got the blueprint. Now it's time to work it, day by day, promise by promise, brick by brick. And in that process, the excuses lose power, the doubts get quieter, and the self-respect rises, not in public, but in private, where it matters most. This is where everything comes together. You've challenged your excuses. You've embraced discipline. You've started building internal strength. But now comes the most important part, living a life that reflects all of it. Because what's the use of knowledge without action? What's the point of building self-respect if your environment keeps dragging you back to your old patterns? The world won't always support your growth. Some people will try to pull you back. Some situations will test your commitment. Life will throw storms your way just to see if your foundation holds. That's why self-respect has to be more than a feeling. It has to be a way of living. Start designing your life in a way that reflects who you've become, not who you used to be. Audit your habits. Audit your environment. Audit your relationships. Ask yourself one powerful question. Does this align with the person I'm becoming? If the answer is no, it's time to change it. No guilt, no drama, just decisions. Because self-respect is built on decisions, not explanations. You don't owe anyone an excuse for evolving. You don't need permission to grow. You don't have to keep shrinking to fit into places that no longer fit your spirit. This is your life, your time, your story. And it's time to write it like you actually respect the author. You need to get to a place where your standards speak louder than your words, where your habits prove your values, where your lifestyle is a reflection of your inner strength. Stop saying you want to grow while living in the same rhythm that broke you. If you want to be respected, start with you. Respect your time. Respect your energy. Respect your potential. Stop wasting it on distractions, fake validation, and things that don't feed your soul. Because the world treats you the way you treat yourself. If you constantly put yourself last, the world will follow. If you tolerate disrespect, internally or externally, the world will mirror that back to you. But if you walk with integrity, if you move with intention, if you lead yourself with honor, you'll start attracting people and opportunities that align with that energy. Self-respect is magnetic. You don't need to chase. You just need to become. There will be days when it's lonely. Growth often is, because not everyone is willing to pay the price. But you have to remember, the people who truly matter will never ask you to lower your standards. They'll rise with you, or they'll step aside. Both are okay. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to fulfill your potential. And that means saying yes to yourself, even if it means saying no to others. Protect your peace. Guard your mind. Elevate your circle. Speak your truth. Own your choices. And most importantly, forgive yourself for the times you fell short. But don't let those moments define you. You're not your past. You're your next decision. Start today. Right now, recommit, realign, reclaim your self-respect. Because at the end of the day, when the lights are off and the crowd is gone and it's just you and your reflection, the question will be simple. Did you show up for yourself? Not once, not when it was easy, but daily. When it was hard, when no one noticed, when it didn't feel worth it, that's when it counts. Anyone can show up once. Few show up every day. Even fewer do it without applause. But those are the ones who build something real, something lasting, something unshakable. That's what self-respect is, doing what's right for you, consistently, quietly, and with conviction. You're not here to impress. You're here to express. And your expression is the way you live. So live with strength. Live with truth. Live like someone who refuses to betray their own soul. No more pretending. No more playing small. No more waiting for a better time. The time is now. No more blaming. No more delays. No more lies to yourself. You've had enough of that. Now you choose integrity. Now you choose progress. Now you choose you. Self-respect begins where excuses end, and from there, it becomes a lifelong standard. Let that standard guide you, protect you, push you. And when the world asks what changed, you'll say, I stopped negotiating with my potential. I stopped settling for less. I stopped listening to my excuses. I started respecting myself. And that made all the difference.